decide who is truly deserving of title.
Gratitude for opportunity to see you fall.
Hi everyone, welcome to Smack Reviews. If you love our honest reviews, smack that subscribe button so you never miss out. Episode 8 of House of Ashur is where the season truly shifts. Not through one big moment, but through multiple losses that slowly strip Ashur of control. Right from the start, Ashur is confronted at his own villa by Proclus and Spartacus, demanding compensation for the failed ambush. And instead of negotiating as an equal, Ashur is forced into submission once again, giving up Opeter's former medicus, now in his employment. It immediately shows something important. Ashur has status, but not protection. Meanwhile, the political situation worsens. Gabinius learns Pompey, influenced by Caesar, refuses to deal with the Cilicians, leaving their family vulnerable. Gabinius' wife responds with a calculated solution: marry Viridia to Pompey to secure safety and influence. And what makes this scene work is Viridia has no real choice. She doesn't want the marriage, but she understands survival in this world means sacrifice. Back at the Ludus, Aquileia is named champion again and begins training for games meant to distract Capua from the ongoing attacks. The gladiator story becomes more emotional than physical here, especially involving Tarchon and Calidus. Tarchon realizes Calidus has feelings for Aquileia and, for once, steps back instead of competing. But when Aquileia tries to reason with Tarchon, their argument turns physical and she re-injures her hand, foreshadows the tragedy coming later. During the games, Ashur learns of Viridia's arranged marriage and tries to talk her out of it. Yet, even he, the master manipulator, cannot change her decision. Because power in Rome doesn't belong to clever men, it belongs to powerful families. The arena fights themselves carry heavier consequences this time. Spartacus easily ends one of Ashur's gladiators, proving how vulnerable Ashur truly is. Tarchon uses his own match, not for glory, but revenge, orchestrating the death of an abusive client tied to his girlfriend, Elata. But the real turning point is the main event, the Primus. Ashur is forced to field Calidus instead of Aquileia, disappointing both Gabinius and the crowd. And unexpectedly, Calidus faces the woman Cynthian, Proclus's elite female gladiator. He lands the first strike, but she overwhelms him. Calidus doesn't survive in the arena. Tarchon, Chorus, and Ashur can only watch helplessly. And that death changes everything. Because this is the moment Ashur stops looking powerful and starts looking like a weak, vulnerable man.
Episode 9 of House of Ashur is where the consequences of the arena affect many of the characters. The episode opens up with Calidus' body being returned to the House of Ashur, and for the first time, Tarchon isn't arrogant or impulsive, he's grieving. Preparing his father's funeral humanizes him more than anything we've seen all season. Horus urges Aquileia to end the conflict between them, and you can feel the tone shift. Aquileia trains for revenge, but Tarchon is determined to reclaim his honor as champion to avenge his father. So when Pompey visits, Aquileia challenges Tarchon in a real fight to the death. She defeats him but spares his life, finally ending their conflict, as she decides to carry out revenge for Calidus, not Tarchon. And in a quiet moment afterwards, she reveals her past. She was sold into slavery by her own father after failing to protect a royal girl, which was affirming to see because I suspected that little girl shown in the flashbacks wasn't her daughter, but I wasn't 100% sure on that, but this episode confirms what I had thought. But while the gladiators process death, the Romans prepare politics. The main thing going on is that Pompey wants to marry Viridia to gain power, but this angers Caesar as this marriage won't benefit him. Caesar asks Ashur to find a way to end Gabinius' life, which is Viridia's father. In return, Caesar promises him control of the games at the old arena once it's rebuilt. Ashur, of course, doesn't want to do this, but he does try to find a way to make Gabinius no longer agree to the forced marriage, so that both him and Caesar win. Afterwards, Ashur's plan commences. He has Pompey drugged with opium and summons Gabinius to witness him lying beside Aquileia and cancels the marriage in fury. Still under the influence, Pompey attacks and gravely wounds Gabinius. Caesar quickly escorts Pompey away from the scene, leaving Ashur alone with the aftermath. And this is the moment Ashur is being pushed rage to the edge. Believing Gabinius had died anyway, Ashur confesses his guilt, but Gabinius hears him and attacks. They struggle and Ashur smothers him to death. He smothers him because he didn't want to take accountability that he was dead because of him.
So episode 8 set the stage, episode 9 tightened the rope, and episode 10 finally snaps it, connecting back to the brutality that made Spartacus memorable in the first place. So the season finale of House of Ashur honestly ended up being the strongest episode of the entire season, wrapping up most of the major storylines while finally letting the tension explode. What I realized watching this episode is that I mainly cared about two things all season: the gladiators surviving inside and outside the arena, and even Ashur trying to navigate Roman politics in Capua while still being treated like an outsider. Because even after gaining power, Ashur never truly gained respect. And this finale proves that. With Viridia's father now deceased, her uncle steps in to take control and immediately establishes dominance. He monitors the women constantly, controls their movements, and makes it clear that everything now runs through him. And that decision completely backfires on Ashur. He's removed from the noble seating and forced to watch the games with the commoners. None of his gladiators are allowed to participate except Achilea, and once again he's publicly humiliated, including the remark about the air being quote-unquote fresher once he walks away from them. Personally, I hated this for Ashur. All season he's been clawing his way towards legitimacy, and in a single moment he's pushed right back to zero, right where he started. Before the games begin though, we get a surprisingly emotional moment with Tarchon. He finally admits he loved his father. He even softens towards Achilea, and even breaks up with his girlfriend after she insults his family. It's one of the first times he actually feels mature for once. Then the arena games begin. We see several smaller fights, including the surviving Ferox brother paired with a female gladiator against a massive opponent. A fight that genuinely looked unwinnable, but together they managed to take him down somehow. The main event, Primus, however, is Achilea versus the Scythian woman that took Caladius's life. And this was easily the best arena fight of the season. The choreography, the emotion, the revenge. It finally felt like classic Spartacus brutality again. Afterward, Achilea and Tarchon do end up together, which some fans will definitely celebrate, especially those who didn't want her with Calidus. But the real finale wasn't in the arena. It's between Ashur and Caesar. After everything Ashur endured, he believes he'll at least be placed in charge of rebuilding the large arena. Instead, Caesar reveals it will be turned into housing, betraying his promise entirely. And that's when Ashur finally breaks. For the first time, he doesn't manipulate, he doesn't negotiate, he doesn't swallow that insult, he attacks. Their fight is brutal and surprisingly intense. Honestly, even more satisfying than the arena battle, because it represents every ounce of humiliation Ashur suffered all season. And in the end, Ashur ends Caesar, not as a schemer, not as a survivor, but as a man who finally refused to bow down. And that's where the season ends. Overall, I honestly didn't realize how much I missed this universe until I sat down and experienced it all over again. The politics, the brutality, and the nostalgia of watching Spartacus challenge authority alongside his gladiator brothers. What makes this story interesting is that Ashur still lives within the same oppressive hierarchy he once suffered under, even while believing he now stands above the gladiators he owns. The power changed, but the mindset remained the same. The show captures the same entertainment and intensity that made the original so memorable. And I especially miss those iconic arena fight sequences that have been gone from our screens for far too long. I'm hoping we get to see them fight in the larger arena if there is another season. And somehow there are still people just as manipulative and disrespectful as Ashur himself. He may have been a villain in the original series, but here, maybe, just maybe, he's becoming the anti-hero no one expected to root for. And Starz, if you're watching, we need season 2 like yesterday. Greenlit. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and please subscribe. Bye!